No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
It looked like it was going to be easy. It looked like it was going to be simple. But it was a Winnipeg Jets game in Philadelphia, so we should all have known better. Nonetheless, the Jets persevere, some poor special teams in tonight's contest, and come away with a 5-3 victory over the Philadelphia Flyers. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Minuk. I'm your host, Drew Mandel. We welcome everyone that is joining us after the Jets-Flyers game and all those who are also going to be joining us as the Niners-Cowboys game comes to its conclusion in the next few seconds. Dave Minuk, it's good to see you. It's been about, let's say 23 hours or so. It's been a very Drew, Dave, well, Ezzy's not here, but a Drew, Dave, Ezzy, Illegal Curve heavy weekend. And I hope yours is still going as well today as it was yesterday.
Well, if you're a hockey fan in Winnipeg, you are very happy right now, given the fact that the Jets swept their 2 games this weekend. The Moose, although they made it more difficult on themselves than they needed to, they swept their 2 games this weekend. And the Winnipeg Ice also, they didn't have as difficult a time. They pounded the Warriors, I believe, today. So they too swept their weekend series. So they put the win in Winnipeg for the hockey teams of our fair city. And so folks are feeling good. Folks are happy right now with all is well with the pro and junior team in Winnipeg.
Exactly right. Anytime you can go 6 for 6 in terms of wins in that column, you know that it's been a very good one. This was this was an interesting game. The Jets got off like a house on fire, not referring to Dave's head on fire. That's a separate issue altogether. Then you sort of had the feeling like, okay, it's 3-0, but it's 3-0 really early in the game. It's 3-0, before the game is 10 minutes over. How are the Jets going to be able to handle this? How are the Jets going to be able to, maintain this lead? And, it's not that the Jets played poorly to let Philadelphia back in the game. If this game had been played at 5-on-5, I think for the majority of it, if the Jets didn't run into some penalty trouble, and if the penalty kill didn't let them down a little bit, then, this probably would have been a very easy game. I mean, you know what it was like when the Jets were controlling the bulk of the second period. Philadelphia just couldn't handle the Jets, couldn't match the Jets 5-on-5 today, which is no surprise. The Jets are a better team than the Philadelphia Flyers. So, we've all come to know that. We've all come to expect that. But, it was the special teams that sort of let Philadelphia crawl in. And the Jets really, after they took that lead, Felix Sandstrom came back and made some nice saves on some point-blank chances. And the Jets maybe got a little bit snake bit in the second period, where they should have been able to expand the lead beyond the 3-goal lead. But nonetheless, Philly comes all the way back, and then the Jets, do what good teams do. They don't love losing the lead, but they find a way, in the back half of the third period, not quite the full back half, but close to the back half of the third period, to both score and keep Philadelphia off the scoreboard, although it definitely got dicey there with a few minutes left and the net empty.
Well, I'm not going to ruin the Moose report or minute, whatever if you choose to give me one, Drew.
I'm going to give you one. There was a big, hey, look, you were
my point is, I don't want a little foreshadowing. I don't want to ruin it.
Right.
For anyone who didn't necessarily read my recap, although you should read my recap.
Illegalcurve.com, good folks.
There's something interesting in that little recap that nobody would know unless you were at the hockey game. As one of 2 media people who were in the building, I can tell you, if you read the recap, you'll find out some interesting nuggets that you wouldn't know otherwise about who may have also been in the building watching that hockey game. Wink, wink.
Yeah, I might have to go read the recap. You
may want to go read the recap, Drew. Go down to the
recap right now. I've had a very busy day. I've been in and out of hockey rinks all day long with my kids. But now I'm going to go check out that recap right now.
But you better read that recap because you'll find some interesting things in there. I think, at least. And so we have other folks who are in there. Drew's going to be scouring that recap.
Well,
I know Kenny's water bottle already read it. I know a bunch of the folks, I gave them the hint that they should go read it when we were chatting during the game or during intermission, whenever it was. And I said, you should probably go read that recap. But anyways, the point is that we saw this movie before, very similar. In fact, for the first two periods, the Jets and the Moose games paralleled each other, but of course, different conclusions regardless. Yeah, it was an unusual game, and the Flyers and Jets killer, both on and off the ice. Kevin Hayes, he was the difference maker. It looked like he was going to be, at least, with his very unusual angled goals. But regardless, I mean, that one thing the Jets need to do better of was their power play. I thought their 5-on-3 was not a good use of time. No. They really were just
a little cute.
Yeah, it was too much. It was too much passing and just, I mean, you had 20. They literally had 28 seconds of passing and they had control. They just never took a shot, and they were looking for that perfect shot rather than like a shot on net. And look, you outnumber them by 2, right? That's so right. If you have a shot, you have a good chance of getting in there and seizing a rebound.
And if history is any indicator in tonight's game, Felix Sandstrom isn't going to make a clean save. There's going to be a rebound. And when you have Pierre-Luc Dubois on the ice, you sort of outnumber them maybe by 3 in that instance. So I agree with you that they should have put a puck on net as opposed to sort of wait for the perfect one. That could have bit them. That really could have bit them, and I thought that, Philly was maybe going to push as a result of that, or maybe take advantage of the emotion that they got out of that 5-on-3 kill. It didn't happen, but it could have. And maybe if Philly was a better team, it would have. But nonetheless, it's a victory for the Winnipeg Jets. It's a good weekend for the Winnipeg Jets. We talk about how it's a good weekend for the Moose, and we'll touch on that later in the Manuk Moose Minute. We'll touch on that. The ice, it was a good weekend for them. The Jets went into 2 teams that are below them in the standings, that are weaker opponents, and they did what they couldn't do to Montreal, which is beat them relatively handily and reaffirm themselves as one of the best teams in the Western Conference. In fact, with tonight's victory, they move into the top spot in the Western Conference, tied with the Dallas Stars, of course. But the Jets, I guess, will now have, 2 points ahead of the Dallas Stars. They haven't updated yet on NHL.com, is what I'm seeing right now. But the Jets will be ahead of them also in points and in regulation victories. So this is what the Jets needed to do. Much better weekend. You flush some bad stuff from the last few games, and now you shift your focus to Tuesday against the Nashville Predators, where you go back to playing a Western Conference opponent, a team that it has been pretty bad this year. I mean, not to sugarcoat anything about Nashville. They've been pretty bad, but they're a team that also is looking to crawl back in to a playoff race, but the Jets want to push them down again and keep them down, and that's what they have an opportunity to do on Tuesday, and to end the 5-game road trip with a winning streak.
Yeah, and it was interesting because after the Moose game, as I was making my way home from Canada Life with over 5,000 fellow Manitobans today, it was a big crowd on hand. But as I was making my way, I turned on the NHL Network and was giving it a listen, hoping it would be our friend Paulie Edmonds, because sometimes they pick up that broadcast. But it happened to be the Flyers broadcast, and it was interesting to hear them talking. And I always find it interesting to listen to, a broadcast you don't generally listen to. One, because it's interesting to hear how they assess the Winnipeg Jets and how they assess, how the team has to match up against Winnipeg. And they talked about the Jets' center depth. That was interesting, but nothing super insightful. But they talked about how important this game was for Philadelphia, a team that is Well, I guess as a measuring stick game, I guess, for them. I mean, look, I think they're still trying to sell something called hope, Drew, in Philadelphia, maybe. I mean,
I hope that hope is a dancer, because the hope is the playoffs. It ain't happening.
Well, no, but I mean, I guess they're 7-3. They were 7-3-0 coming into tonight's game.
Right.
So they were, and they beat Detroit last night. And it's, that was one of the interesting things. But neither team was in Philadelphia yesterday, of course. Both teams were away. Jets obviously in Ottawa, and the Flyers in Detroit, where they picked up a win. And like I said, it was just interesting. It was different to hear the broadcast and how they assessed it and what they sort of pinpointed as the things that were important to do. And again, like I said, it would have been an interesting game for Philadelphia. I mean, especially if you don't know what's going on with Winnipeg. You see a big team coming from the Western Conference, and I guess you could call it a measuring stick game potentially, even though the Flyers, similar to the Senators, are, I believe they were, as of prior to puck drop, 7th in their respective divisions. So, I mean, I agree with you. The likelihood of playoffs for them is very remote. But hope springs eternal until that officially you are completely eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I get what, it would be an important game. Both teams on the second half of back-to-backs, as you mentioned. And yes, I'm being very facetious when I say that, Philadelphia doesn't have a chance. When, it would be certainly a high uphill climb. And this isn't a team that's dripping with talent. They have some nice players. I mean, Owen Tippett is still a very nice player for Philadelphia. Kevin Hayes, despite his struggles here in Winnipeg back in the day, is a nice player. He's got some positives. He's got 15 goals on the season now, a little one-dimensional, but whatever. Tony DeAngelo, whatever you think about his alleged dressing room behavior, is a good power play quarterback. They have some talent, but this is a Jets team that is more talented, and a Jets team that's playing better as a unit, and certainly has better goaltending, even with the battle of the backups. Like Felix Sandstrom is a young goaltender. I think he's got 1 win on the season, maybe 1 win in his NHL career, and he looked out of place, certainly, to start this game. I mean, the Flyers didn't start the game. It's, again, another good start for the Jets that we've seen, I guess, more of lately. Certainly the last 3 games, they've had good starts. Toronto on Thursday, Ottawa yesterday, here tonight. They've had a better start than we've seen for a lot of the season. And, anytime you can go up on a team 3-0 before the game is, before the game is 10 minutes old, you're doing something right. And that's what the Jets did. And that's why they feel good about themselves there. Of course, they don't love that Philly battled back and got, tied the game. But nonetheless, the 2 points in the ledger is what matters most.
Sorry, Drew. I was in the middle of trying to get a tweet out about our good friend Anthony Sanfilippo. Maybe he thinking he might join us after covering the Flyers. Although I didn't see him tweeting, so perhaps he has the night off. Who knows? But good
Anthony
friend of the
works,
Curves.
of course, for CrossingBroad.com.
Yeah.
He's tied in very closely with the Flyers organization. He actually used to work for the Flyers organization, and he's been covering the team for at least, probably close to 2 decades now, I would say. Before that, at the Delaware County Daily Times back in the day, when he used to be a regular of ours on the on our various radio stations that we were once fortunate enough to be on. Whatever. I'm being in a charitable mood, I suppose. Hey, there was nothing wrong with 92.9 Kick FM, I guess.
Yeah, no, of course. In fact, Joe from Winnipeg was talking about how he still got some of our original broadcasts on USB from back in that day. So absolutely nothing wrong with the Kick FM days when it was you, me, and Ezzy banging out content and nobody else on that broadcast.
Certainly nobody who's now a pro scout for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't know.
Absolutely not.
I have no clue who that individual would be, but we shall not speak about his name. In any event, Dave M, why don't we get into the Betway game recap?
Sure, I'll go back to tweeting and you go back to introducing the segment.
There you go. Sounds like a good deal. Betway game recap for this Sunday evening's Jets victory. It's brought to you by, of course, Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. That's where I just won some money on the 49ers, minus 3.5 over the Dallas Cowboys. So yay me. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Winnipeg Jets, as we said, Dave M, they opened the scoring at the 4:53 mark of the first period. Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, he's got some good eye-hand coordination, as you saw in this one, tipping in the Brendan Dillon shot. Neil Pionk getting the secondary assist on this one as well. It's his 4th of the season, and this is just a skill play. It takes a lot more skill than maybe people can appreciate when they're watching it from the comfort of their couch, to be able to tip a puck that's going this fast and redirect it past the goaltender. But that's what Axel Jonsson-Fjällby does from the high slot to give the Jets an early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and it was a nice stretch pass originally by Neil Pionk to get out of the zone right from the Jets' end, and you got to give these guys. Look, that's what I think. I don't remember who said it, but it was one of the first goals from the fourth line in a long time for Winnipeg. So you did You did need that. We've talked about it. Like Adam Lowry, he's a bit snake bit right now, obviously, after getting the Ginsburg guarantee on Saturday. We knew that was going to be the death knell of him scoring any goals.
You've never seen a player tear both of their Achilles simultaneously after they get the Ginsburg guarantee.
Yeah,
but,
he's like, I got Adam Lowry. Oh, I beat the goaltender. I beat Forsberg, but I cannot beat both posts.
Yeah.
Somehow a puck that was magically going in defies the laws of physics to stay out of the net because of the Ginsburg guarantee, regardless. So you knew that the Jets, again, we Mark Scheifele scoring, Kyle Connor scoring, the top lines are scoring, they're producing. Pierre-Luc Dubois is in a small little lack of scoring. I think they said it was 6 games now, Drew, where he hasn't had a goal, but you're still getting contributions, but you needed to get it from that fourth line. And so when you get a guy like Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, who was actually, he played a big role in tonight's game, and Spencer had a good comment earlier about his various ways of making an impact. It's not necessarily a Gordie Howe hat trick, but it was more of an Axel Jonsson-Fjällby hat trick. And
shot block. I mean, the shot block that he sacrificed his body for, and I mean that hurt. Fortunately,
you could hear that. You could feel that through the TV.
Yeah, fortunately, it wasn't a Wheeler-esque shot block, if you all know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you do, but certainly talk about sacrificing your body to make a play. That's what he did there, and you could see the amount of pain that he was in after doing so. But
Anthony says, by the way, Anthony responded, he said, let's do next week, boys. I'm out of town and wasn't at the game tonight. So
there you go. Next Saturday, the rematch between the Jets and the Philadelphia Flyers.
Seems like a good time for a date with Anthony.
There you go. Exactly. Our buddy Anthony Sanfilippo will join us next Saturday. Who knows if Ginsburg's going to join us, but we really don't need him anyways. He takes Sundays off. He doesn't work on the Lord's Day. I got very confused when he said that to me. I just didn't understand what he was talking about, but that's a separate issue altogether, I suppose, in that case.
Anyways, the point is you're right. It's absolutely a beautiful tip, and it's a critical goal. It gives the Jets that good feeling early in that first period.
Yeah, exactly right. And the good feelings continue. Kyle Connor, his 24th of the year, assist to Cole Perfetti and Nate Schmidt. I mean, this is an absolute beautiful play by Perfetti to tee up Kyle Connor for our Seagram's shot of the game. A fireball. Tastes like heaven, burns like hell. I would drink this, of course, but it is dry January for me, so I'm not drinking this month, despite all other visual evidence to the contrary.
Yeah, I'm like,
what the hell? There we go. Nobody bought that I wasn't drinking anyways.
Well, they would have been fine with it, Drew, if you would have said, I'm just no longer. But the problem is you said dry January.
Yeah.
But everybody who is in the show right now, I would imagine, was in the show yesterday, and they all saw you do the shot of the game yesterday. So it's not as if their memories reset, Drew.
Yeah.
People can remember more than, 24 hours ago, whenever we were last doing this show. Feels like we've done 300 shows this weekend.
It does.
So maybe that's the confusion, but regardless, I think people remember that you did it.
I'm sure that they do. In any event, if anybody has a spare kidney or a spare liver rather, that they'd like to put aside for me, then you can keep that handy. I'll be contacting you accordingly to take advantage of that offer. But in any event, that is our Seagram shot of the game. Kyle Connor, his 24th of the season, assist to Perfetti and Schmidt, and you just see a great play by Cole Perfetti to sort of look off the defender, and then feather it over to Connor, who absolutely wires it past Sandstrom. Just a fantastic play. As you can see, Perfetti's game growing and growing and growing as the season moves on.
Again, I'm going to sound a bit like a broken record, but I don't mind because it just reinforces what we've seen before with Cole Perfetti at the AHL level. That's what he did. He was able to, adjust his game and go from being a peripheral player to getting the points like that to, going to the dirty areas and being willing to take that sort of punishment. And you're seeing it at the NHL level. And that's not obviously what happened on this play, Drew, but it's just that world-class brain, right? And he's got to match, and his legs have to match, and everything has to get up to NHL speed, because NHL's another level, from the AHL. But that vision that this kid possesses is all world. And you saw, it's funny because when you watch it live, you're like, he didn't look at all. You realize that he did very, 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 imperceptibly look just slightly with his right eye and see Kyle Connor there. And what a shot by Kyle Connor. I mean, that's his 24th goal of the season. And I said it, or when he scored, I thought he had 2 goals in his first 14 and he has 22 in his last 34, and he's still on pace for 41 goals. Like 41 goals when you have 2 in your first 14, one of which was an empty net, right, Drew?
Neither of them were 5-on-5.
And one was a power play goal, right?
Yeah.
So he had a power play goal and an empty net goal. He had 2 in his first 15 or 14, sorry. And now he has 22 in his next 34 to give himself 24 in 48. So, back on pace for 41, if my math is right. But he has just been remarkable at just how good he has been, and getting back to the Kyle Connor that you expect and so he's continued to do what the Jets need him to do, which is produce. And I like their use of him on the PK. I know that Kyle Connor doesn't often get lauded for his defensive abilities, but one thing that he's able to do is anticipate what skill players are going to do on the power play. And so you saw it, and I'm jumping ahead now to the third period, but there was that one play where the Flyers are pushing and they're trying to, I think, tie the game at that point. And, Kyle Connor anticipates the cutback, takes the stick, active stick, knocks it away at the blue line and gets the puck out of the Jets zone. So, the goal scoring, obviously very important for the Jets, but you need Kyle Connor to be doing a lot more than that. And, but in this instance, we're talking about his goal scoring, and that was a fantastic goal for the Jets to give him a 2-0 lead.
It certainly did give them a 2-0 lead. That lasted 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Mark Scheifele, his 29th of the year, assist to Blake Wheeler and Nikolai Ehlers. This is one of those instances. Sometimes the secondary assist is poo-pooed as not being as important, and the secondary assist, maybe you don't get as much credit for the play. Well, this is all Nikolai Ehlers, and if you listen quietly, you can hear Sweet Georgia Brown playing in the background, because Nikolai Ehlers, I stopped family dinner at this point. I called the kids over and said, kids, gather around. Let's sit around the fireplace. We don't have a fireplace, but let's sit around and watch what world-class skating looks like, because that's what this is. Nikolai Ehlers just goes around 3 players, goes around the net, and then sets up Wheeler, who makes a gorgeous pass to Mark Scheifele, who couldn't be more alone and couldn't have an easier goal than this one. The Flyers are all just watching Nikolai Ehlers. That's all they're doing. They're like, when's this guy going to stop? Because he better stop, because we can't catch him. And it was 3-0 for the Jets at this point in time, and the goal that you should see on all the highlight reels tonight, at least on if you close your eyes, you can see it on your own personal highlight reel.
Okay, got it right now. And Drew, it really was, like you said, it was a world-class play from all 3, because Ehlers does what he does, which is, control the puck and move at a speed that most players, aside from Connor McDavid, can even try and emulate. And then he does it, and he processes the game at such a high level, right? And at such a fast level that he gets it over to Wheeler. And look, I know folks are quick to malign Blake Wheeler and whether he's 100% ready to be, the Blake Wheeler he was before he got injured, before he blocked the shot. But I think you can't take certain things away from him, and his ability to make a pass is still pretty good. Not 100%, like I said, but it's pretty. He knows, him and Scheifele know each other. They know where they're going to be, and you credit Blake Wheeler for making that decision, because guys sometimes hold on to the puck, and he didn't. He just immediately got it over to Scheifele. And look, Mark Scheifele, 29 goals. I mean, he's on pace for 50 for the first time in his career. His career high is 38, correct? So I mean, he's on pace now to hit to get to the 40 mark, to get to almost, I think he was at 49.5. So if you round up, if you believe in rounding up, then he's on pace for 50 goals this season. Pretty remarkable for Mark Scheifele. And again, part of the reason why folks are so focused right now, Drew, on the Jets adding, because you're having guys have such significant years in Josh Morrissey, Mark Scheifele, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and as a result, and that's something we'll talk about after this, not necessarily the game recap, but another instance where the Jets now have a 3-0 lead, courtesy of guys, the whatever you want to call it, the 1A, the 1B, I don't really care. But that line just doing what it needed to do, which is, I mean, it's really hard to, it's not like the way it was where you'd have a line and it would be, together for 10, 15, 20 games. You don't see it anymore. So as a result, it's really hard to be like, well, because I mean, Ehlers could be there and now he's here and there's all this tweaking. So it's just easier. Look, you got a 1A, you got a 1B there. That's a very good top 6. The top 6 that you're putting against most teams. Yeah. And I think that in this instance, with that incarnation, it's pretty damn good to see Ehlers and Scheifele and Wheeler, what they're able to do together.
Well, I mean, I think I saw something online that Nikolai Ehlers is on pace for like 65 points. which is remarkable considering that he, what did he play? He missed 34 games or something like that with the sports hernia injury, somewhere in that vicinity. Maybe,
I think it was 38, wasn't it?
My number might be a little off. I'm drunk off Fireball.
It could be 36, actually.
We've all seen the evidence.
I think it was 36.
Whatever it is. I mean, you get, and everyone had him pegged for, earlier, as the breakout player maybe in the NHL this season. And all evidence points to the fact that he probably would have been had it not been for the sports hernia injury. And you got to see it again today on just an unbelievable play here to set up Scheifele's goal. And the Jets have a 3-0 lead before the game is even 10 minutes old, which is a really remarkable effort and a remarkable start to the game by the Winnipeg Jets. Exactly what you want to do against a fragile opponent, a weaker opponent like the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers fight back, though. They punch back. They punch back before the end of the first period at the 18:39 mark. Minute 21 to go in the first period. Ivan Provorov. We'll just talk about his hockey game. We don't need to deal with the other stuff. Ivan Provorov.
That's because this is a hockey show, Drew.
That's right. Third goal of the season, assist to Owen Tippett, and York gets the secondary assist as well. It's a hard net drive. Cam York gets the secondary assist. It's a hard net drive by Ivan Provorov, and it's a good play by Owen Tippett to put him in a good position. And it's really just a jam play. There's nothing necessarily particularly, unique about it, but he goes hard to the net and good things happen when you go hard to the net. Yeah. I can't help but wonder if Rick Bowness was considering a challenge. It sort of looked like maybe there had been some contact with David Riddick, at least from my perspective. Mm-hmm. Obviously the Jets didn't challenge, and I can understand why you don't challenge in that situation. You're up 3, worst case scenario, you're up 3-1 at the end of the first period. You're happy with that. If you do challenge and if the goal is upheld, then all of a sudden it's 3-1 and you're killing a penalty before the second period is out. So I understand why the Jets didn't challenge. I wonder if Bowness maybe considered it, but in any event, they didn't, and it's 3-1 for the Jets after 20 minutes, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's and again, like I said, it was funny for me watching that game thinking, ooh, deja vu. I've seen this story before where a team scores 3 goals in 10 minutes and then somehow it becomes a 3-1 game. But I don't want to give too many spoilers, although I know a number of folks were paying attention to what was going on earlier this afternoon at Canada Life. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those plays where Provorov is known for being an offensive defenseman. And so he jumps into the play and gets an opportunity to jam that puck home. And you don't like to see it because it's late in the period. But, if you're the Jets, you're thinking to yourself, okay, it's not ideal, but at least maybe that provided them that wake up. That's what you're thinking, I would imagine. You're maybe getting the wake up call that may have happened in the second if you were laissez-faire, but instead the Jets, get that late in the first. And again, like I said, you think to yourself, Philadelphia, like I said, they're the more desperate of the two teams because of the way they're positioned are. They want to get the iPads back on the bench. So they're trying to figure out whatever they can do to do that. And of course that I'm assuming, the carrot dangling is for wins. Tortorella needs wins in order to, by the way, if I wasn't sure if you were aware, if you're watching the broadcast, but John Tortorella was to the left of Kevin Sawyer.
He said it a few times, did he?
Just once or twice.
I know. That's okay. So we all have, as somebody who talks a lot on this show, we all have our verbal crutches.
I know. It was just funny. I just kept thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know if he's to the left of Kevin, but I'm pretty sure he's to the left of Kevin.
Yeah, I'm not going to criticize him for that one. I understand. There's a lot of things that Kevin Sawyer.
I'm not criticizing. I'm pointing it out. Drew, I would point out the same your same idiosyncrasies as well. Yeah, so
good word.
Fear not.
I do have many idiosyncrasies. That's true. So that is a good word and well earned by you to use it in that case. 3-1 for the Jets after 20 minutes. Jets obviously controlled the first period. Were rewarded with it. And the second period started out very similarly, with the Jets, looking to expand the lead. They controlled, 64% of the possession at 5-on-5 in that second period, to go along with a lead in the possession in the first period. So, they just kept pushing and pushing, but they weren't able to get a goal to make it 4-1, to regain that 3-goal lead. And then late in the period, with Nate Schmidt in the box for interference, Kevin Hayes gets his first of the game, his 14th of the season, assist to Cates and Tony DeAngelo. We mentioned DeAngelo, a good power play quarterback. And all of a sudden, a game that the Jets have really been in control of, by and large, especially at 5-on-5, becomes a 3-2 game at the end of 40 minutes, Dave.
Yeah, and look, it's a power play goal, and it's a lucky bounce to Kevin Hayes, and he's at a very unusual angle and still manages to put it in on Rittich, who had himself a pretty good game. And look,
especially, sorry, let me just interrupt you.
Yeah.
Especially in the first period.
Yeah.
The saves that he made in the first period, the Flyers had 14 shots in the first period, and a lot of them were on what I saw sort of as redirections or just sort of weird bounces, and he had to be sharp. I mean, and he was, I think
numbers, the high danger were 12-6 after one.
After one, the high danger chances, no, they were 5-3 after one, and high danger chances. They were 5-3. But I thought Rittich was sharp in the first period. I thought he was more or less sharp throughout most of the game, not just the first period. He gives up 3 goals, which never looks great for a goals against average. But I thought that a number of the saves, particularly in the first period, that he had to make, were of a important variety. They weren't world class. They weren't unbelievable saves, but they were solid saves for a guy who doesn't play all that often. Of course, he would have last played. When would have he last played? He played on
a week ago.
I guess he played against Pittsburgh. Did he play against Pittsburgh on the Friday? Yeah.
No, didn't Hellebuyck play on?
No, because it was a back-to-back. The Buffalo, remember Hellebuyck?
Oh, you're right. Yes. Yeah. I think Rittich has played all the back-to-backs.
He has. He's played all the back-to-backs, and I mean he's got a good record on the year now.
8-4-0, 2.62 GAA, and a 908 save percentage. So I mean, like, the reality is, what do you need? I mean, what have we always talked about? You need someone who's capable, someone who's going to be sufficient, and he made a couple of big stops. Yeah, you're right, Drew. So absolutely. I mean, that was significant, and so that's why, like I said, you don't foul him on that power play goal because Hayes is low. Yeah, and it's a very and the reality is also that puck squeaks to him almost unintentionally, and so it's a lucky bounce for the Flyers, and it gives them a little momentum because, again, it's a late goal in the period. So
that's right.
That is one of the things that you don't like if you're the Jets, is giving up that late goal in the second period, because it allows the Flyers to say, hey, we were down 3-0. We're now down 3-2 after 40.
That's right. Exactly. The Flyers, a team, don't deserve to be down 3-2, considering that the Jets have really been in control at 5-on-5. I mean, how many chances did the Jets have in that second period where, they had good opportunities right from the slot? Many. And that Sandstrom was up to the task to make the saves. And the Jets, not snake bit, because that would be a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's 3-2. So it's a game. This is a ball game, entering the third period. And then Kevin Hayes, only 2 minutes and 35 seconds into the third period, he gets his second on the power play of the game, his 15th of the season, assist to Frost and DeAngelo again. And again, it's sort of a weird angle. It's, I don't know that, it was sort of hard for me to tell on the replay. I don't think Rittich made the save and the rebound went to him. I think it hit the guys in front, and then it ricocheted to Kevin Hayes, and he had a wide open net to shoot at. Rittich is in position to make the initial save, but the puck then just takes this weird redirection, and Hayes makes no mistake. He knows how to score in the NHL, and he's got a pretty wide open net to do so at. And two power play goals for the Flyers have put them back into this game, have tied this game. This was a power play for the Flyers that wasn't any good to coming into the game. And the Jets penalty kill, we know how good it's been this season. We know how good it's been over the last number of games. They've been perfect, I think, in their last, was it something like 14 penalty killing something opportunities entering tonight's game. And Hayes makes it 3-3 at this point, very early in the third period.
True. We got a request from Mean Gene Okerlund. He says he'll smash the like button if Drew smashes another shot. I'm assuming that's from Beyond the Grave, but well done, Mean Gene.
There you go. Happy, Mean Gene.
There we go.
We might not be smiling and waving despite all the requests, but apparently I'll do shots on command.
There we go. Like button smash harder than Drew on Fireball. I like it. Keep it rolling, folks. Anywho, keep those likes rolling for us. We appreciate that. Keep the comments going. I like that people are leaving comments that we can respond to after the show, or during the show if I start to lose focus here. But yeah, I mean, it is, like I said, it's an unfortunate bounce for the Jets, and it leaves them, sitting there going, well, we had a 3-0 lead. but it was, again, it wasn't like it was like a 3-0 lead. Now it's 3-all, and you felt like Philadelphia was coming on. Like, I'm not saying that they didn't have chances. And in fact, they could have very easily taken a 4-3 lead. They had a very good chance. Rittich had to make a save. I think you highlighted it, Drew, from one of the comments. But I mean, Rittich had to make a couple of big stops. I think about that play when Mark Scheifele had his pocket picked on the power play, which ultimately ended up unusually leading to a 5-on-3, which the Jets did absolutely nothing about with, other than pass the puck a lot and wait for the perfect shot. But David Rittich had to make a couple nice big saves in order to maintain the Jets at even, which was obviously significant, not to give the Flyers any more momentum, because obviously getting that goal early in the third to tie the game is especially in their home building, and you can hear that building, right? Like it's an animated building. We've only been there for the 2014 draft, I believe. That was a Nikolai Ehlers draft. Yeah, when we were in Philly with some of our friends, and saw one of the best baseball games we've ever seen. Well, I should say
the imprint is still on my face.
I was going to say, Drew, you and I will remember that. Ezzy, who of course isn't with us tonight, he doesn't remember because he and Huss and a friend of ours who will remain nameless for obvious reasons.
Yes, well, those reasons will become a little bit more obvious in the show. What happened is they cut off the booze sales after the ninth inning.
Yeah,
and because
7th or 9th. I can't remember.
Ninth inning.
Okay.
I think 9th. I can't remember for sure, but because the game went 18 innings.
No, 14.
No, it went longer than. We had two. Didn't we have 2 7? Or maybe it was 14 because we had
14.
We had two 7-inning stretches, right?
Yeah.
So the game went 14 innings, which of course wouldn't happen anymore in baseball with the runner that starts on second. But they went to get more drinks because God forbid they not have a.
No, they didn't Drew. They didn't go to get more drinks. They left the game.
They left the game.
Who leaves a tied game in order to? Well, I'll tell you. Hustler
and
Ezzy and one other person.
Yeah, and then they missed the home run ball, the walk-off home run hit by Chase Utley.
Yeah.
Okay, Chase Utley, which ricocheted off the steps, the seats
sounded
behind
like
us.
A bomb went off.
Yeah,
I'm standing there. I'm waiting. I'm like, come on, I'm gonna get this. I'm an outfielder. I can do this. I was like, oh, that's too high. I'm out. I got nothing. It's gonna break my hand. I'm out. I moved.
Yeah. So it ricocheted off the seats behind us. And then in the scramble to get the ball, it hit the seats behind us and then bounced right off of my face. And long story short,
to your credit, Drew, you dove for it.
It's true. I did try and sacrifice myself for it.
Yeah, you dove for it. Like I mean, honestly, it was like watching Newman, like when he was going to get the fur coat and running up the tree. That was Drew going for that ball.
It's true. I'm not sure it was the smartest decision I've ever made in my life.
Maybe not.
But I didn't get the ball, but I did get a fat lip. So, win-win, and you guys get a story for the rest of your lives that you get to tell. As you can see me, if you watch the replay of that home run, you can see my body sort of hit the ground very faintly. There you go. There's the guy who got the ball. There's the ball, and there's me, the guy holding the ball up against my lip.
There you go.
So there you go. I'm glad that Dave has at all times has ridiculous photos on at his fingertips on his phone.
I had to do a quick search, Drew, but I got it eventually.
I knew you would have it. There's that phone of yours is a lethal weapon.
It really is.
It should never fall into evil hands.
Absolutely not. Anyways, sorry, we could tell stories about Philly all day long. So let's keep rolling.
Anyways, 3-all at this point in time. So the Jets have managed to take a 3-0 lead and blow a 3-0 lead, but then they get the game-winning goal at the 8:44 mark of the third period. Carson Kuhlman, his third of the year, assisted Dylan DeMello and Brendan Dillon. Not the line that you would have expected to score the game-winning goal. It's a strong net drive by Carson Kuhlman. It's a bit fortuitous as well, yes, but he gets full credit with the
Smith says, Drew, with the no move Kucherov for the winner.
It's right. I mean, but he gets credit for going hard. For going hard at the goalie, and the goalie for not being that great of a goaltender. The puck sort of goes right through him and into the net. It's not a great goal by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a great goal from the sense of the Winnipeg Jets retaking the lead, and it's a great goal from the sense of Carson Kuhlman getting rewarded for hard work, and that's what he did on this one, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. He uses his asset, right? What's his biggest asset? Now, as an aside, and I had a little chat with the folks, there were about 7 or 8 people in the chat during the game. Yeah. And then I took this to Twitter as well. And it seemed like across the board, I think I had one person say, no, But every time, and oftentimes I will admit when I'm watching or listening to a broadcast, may have had my head down because might be writing, tweeting, writing something on illegalcurve.com. So I'm not necessarily fully watching exactly,
There's a
but
lot going on.
I'm listening. So, but anyways, so then I hear Tucker Poolman, not Tucker, but I hear Poolman for Kuhlman at least 4 to 5 times in a broadcast. And I was curious to know how many other people, every time Dan Robertson says Kuhlman, hear Poolman. And absolutely every single person on Twitter was like, absolutely. I thought it was just me. There were probably like 40 people who responded, 50 people who responded saying they did. The chat, I think, come on, let's go. Let's get it going in the chat. Do you hear Poolman when he says Kuhlman? I'm curious. This is just a complete aside. I'm doing my best, Ezzy, to do a complete sidebar. But see, Tucker Kuhlman. There we go. Anywho, the point is that yes, Drew, he used his asset which is his speed, to drive hard at the net. He got just demolished behind the net by the Flyers. I mean, he not only did he get demolished, it was almost like he got picked up and like it was, speaking of wrestling, like he was thrown to the ground with after that hit. So good on him for obviously getting up and scoring a critical goal. And yeah, I mean, it was funny because I had to go back and watch the highlight because I was like, or the replay, sorry, because I didn't think he had shot the puck when 5-hole. I think originally my first impression was he didn't. And then of course that was confirmed when I watched it on the replay. It was more just slid along on the ice, went 5-hole and ended up being the game winning goal. So it's a bit of insult to injury for the Flyers, but yeah, I mean, it was, it's good for Carson Kuhlman. His second goal as a Jet, third of the season, and again, you get some depth scoring, huge for this club to be able to get that, especially in a back-to-back, especially what have the Jets played now? Like, was that 4 games in 6
Honestly,
days or something like that?
I was thinking, I think I was even talking with somebody last night, or I was just thinking about it, some point today. It seems like the Jets have been playing 3 and 4 nights for like the last month.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's been 3 and 4 nights for forever now.
Yeah.
And you can understand why. I mean, I know I'm looking forward to the 10 days off right after the St. Louis game next Tuesday. Yeah. I'm sure the Jets themselves are looking forward to a little bit of time off because it's been a incredibly busy stretch, and they're coming through this stretch by and large smelling like roses. And that's, winning tonight, winning last night in Ottawa, it means you're 2-2 on the road trip. You got the 1 game left in Nashville. So, if you can take care of business there and you finish your 5-game road trip with a 3-2 record, well, then you come home, you got 3 games to go, and then you can sort of breathe. Then you got that 10 days off where you're going to relax. You're going to get away from the game for a little while. And you're just going to be able to, you're not obviously going to heal all the wounds that you're facing over the course of a lengthy season, but it's almost like a line of demarcation between, the not the first half, because it's more than the first half, of course, but the first segment of the season, and then the second segment of the season from now through what the Jets hope to be a lengthy playoff run, of course. There you go. What did Upside Down fan? He said Utley Homer shared. I'm not sure if that where you shared it, but in any event, I hope you shared it where people can see the walk-off homer that ended with a ball careening off my face a little bit. The Jets end up winning 5-3. Kevin Stenlund gets his 3rd of the year into the empty net. Assist to Pierre-Luc Dubois. The Flyers pulled the goalie with about 2.5 minutes to go in the game. And, I guess it was 2 minutes and 13 seconds to be exact. And they had a lot of zone time.
Yeah.
And there was one opportunity where it looked like it was maybe Adam Lowry's behind that kept the puck out of the net. It was sort of unclear to me which player in particular it hit, but the Jets were able to not give up the tying goal. And then eventually they cleared the zone, and Stenlund, who has been doing sort of yeoman's work for this team for a long, long time, ever since he came back, ever since he's become a regular in this lineup. He does a lot of the unheralded sort of things, and he gets rewarded here with a goal into the empty net, and the Jets will gladly leave the city of brotherly love with a 5-3 victory on this Sunday evening, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you needed to do, which was, even that road trip out. So now you've got 2 wins, 2 losses, and an opportunity to take it home against the Nashville Predators. I think they said on the broadcast that tomorrow's a day off. So, and the reality is, even though, I mean, it's funny, it's like you can see both sides of it, but they're not practicing a lot. In fact, I think they've had like 2 practices in like the last month. And obviously we know why, because they've been playing so much, but they have been getting a lot of days off. And so, they'll be in Nashville, nice city to get a day off in. You can walk around, get some, enjoy some things. Hang out. We spent some time in Nashville, Drew, of course, a couple Septembers ago.
Perhaps they can find my dignity while they got their day off. That would be nice of them. If they can also look in New Orleans, if somebody can swing by there. I was recently there. That would be great of them as well.
Yeah, Drew loses his dignity a lot. So if you find Drew's dignity, please call the following number.
Might also explain why I need a liver as well. I'm not sure if there's a correlation there, but in any event.
Anywho, so the point is that the Jets, do what they needed to do. And like I said in the broadcast, interesting that the Jets obviously the Jets only play in Philadelphia once a year and didn't obviously during the All-Canadian division. But the fact is that the Jets haven't won very often in Philadelphia. Of course, we always think back to that 9-8 game in the first year. And then I think the last game they won, which was that January 31st, 2012 was a 2-1 game. I think I saw someone say so. I mean, that's a long time ago for the Jets to have gone in their last win in the city of brotherly love. So they're feeling good about themselves, and it's an important win, even if it's against a quote lesser opponent. What have we talked about? What have the Jets managed to do every time they've been up against a lesser opponent for the most part this year is win. So they've got another win. They're 31st of the season, comes in game 48 for them. And I like to keep track, Drew.
You keep track of that one, my boy.
Last year it was in game 66 when they picked up win number 31. So they're well ahead. And I know people say, well, why are you talking about last year? Well, remember, this is largely the same team as last year. And now they've got 31 wins in 48 games versus 31 wins in 66 games. Pretty significant turnaround for this Winnipeg Jets club.
Exactly right. So the Jets move into a tie with the Dallas Stars in the Central Division. Both teams have 63 points, 9 up on the Minnesota Wild. The Wild, of course, had been creeping closer and inching closer. The Wild
lost a couple in a row, though.
Yes, they have. They've lost 2 in a row. They have 3 games in hand, the Wild do, but the schedule's going to obviously get a little bit, the games played are going to tighten up when the Jets have that 11-day off break. And the Minnesota Wild now, again, some more breathing room between the Jets and the Stars, and then the Minnesota Wild. And then, of course, the Colorado Avalanche, who've won 5 games in a row as they continue to climb in the Western Conference playoff race. That's the Betway game recap on this Sunday evening. It's brought to you by Betway. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway. So head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. When we come back on the Illegal Curve post-game show, more on tonight's Jets victory in Philadelphia. We'll read some of the post-game comments. And, of course, the shenanigans that are the various Illegal Curve contests still to come. And a Manuk Moose Minute as Dave recaps everything that happened in downtown Winnipeg. The Moose victorious this afternoon as well. It's shortly before 9:30 in the evening. Don't go anywhere. Drew Mindell, Dave Manuk, the Illegal Curve post-game show rolls on this Sunday evening.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, My man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. 9:30 Sunday evening, the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk with you to wrap up what has been a very heavy Illegal Curve weekend. We're so thrilled you've all been able to join us all weekend long, and we remind you to bookmark it and set the reminder for Tuesday night. 9:45 p.m. is when we're going to get started after the Jets and the Nashville Predators. This stretch of 6 o'clock games will come to an end, at least for the next 2 games, before it restarts again next Saturday with the Flyers back in Winnipeg to face the Jets. But at least a couple games that are at our more regular, more used to 7 o'clock start time, Dave M. I like these. The 6 o'clock start times are nice in that, you know, we can go to bed at a reasonable hour. At least I can go to bed at a reasonable hour. But they certainly are not the most conducive for families and spending quality time with your children, as the case may be. But nonetheless, 7 o'clock Tuesday is puck drop. 9:45 p.m. post-game show following the Jets and the Nashville Predators. As we said, it was a perfect weekend for teams based in Winnipeg. 2 wins for the Ice, 2 wins for the Jets, 2 wins for the Manitoba Moose. To talk about tonight's or this afternoon's Moose victory, we present.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
That would be for me, right, Drew? That's my cue?
That's your cue, yeah.
My time to shine?
That's your cue.
Okay, well, I made my way downtown Winnipeg today with 5,000, some 200, 300 other Manitobans who are going to check in. Tons, as Ezzy pointed out, it's youth hockey in Manitoba this weekend. I don't want to say it wrong, Drew. I don't want Ezzy to be upset with me. That's part of a Hockey Manitoba initiative, so I got to make sure I say it right. So let me.
Did he send you a read for you to do this?
No, he didn't. I took a picture of the thing. So it's minor hockey weekend in Manitoba, and at the Moose game specifically. Tons of kids were at the game with their teams, and it's the energy the kids bring. You know, it's funny. It's palpable, and not only is it palpable to us in the press box, but the players. Everybody, Dominic Toninato, who I spoke with after the game, Ashton Sautner, and assistant coach Eric Dubois, who I asked it before he got started if he was a little sick talking to me. Although he said he looked at me kind of funny. I said, "Yeah, but you're also 2-0 talking to us, so you might want to consider that to be a bit of a."
when Eric joined us on Saturday morning's Illegal Curve Hockey Show, and if you haven't seen that, folks, go check out the replay of Saturday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show where we were joined by Eric Dubois. We started off the interview by talking about how the Moose haven't been able to get anything rolling. It's been win one, lose one, win one, lose two.
Yes.
Comes on the show, they win 2 in a row. I'm not saying we deserve all the credit, but
but you're not saying it. So
yeah,
you're not saying that. And remember, this is not against some, average team. This is against the top team in the Central Division, the Texas Stars. So the Moose, of course, were up 4-2, ended up winning 5-4. Beautiful overtime goal by Declan Chisholm, the 2018 fifth rounder for the Winnipeg Jets. And the only change in this lineup from tonight's game was Oskari Salminen started instead of Arvid Holm, and Isaac Johnson came out in favor of Braden Burke, who was signed on a PTO. It was Jimmy Olney bobblehead game. So the first 3,000 fans in attendance got a Jimmy Olney bobblehead, the captain of the Moose. He is working his way back to a return to the lineup. He's been obviously out since we reported that back in July of the summer, where he had suffered an injury. And of course, that's kept him out of the lineup for some time. And the Moose started off hot. And no surprise, it was the line of Toninato, Limoges, and Tyler Boland. Those three combined for the opening goal. Real nice play, actually. Dean Stewart, Portage la Prairie's Dean Stewart, deserves some credit because he kept the puck in the Stars zone. And then the three did a nice little tic-tac-toe, ending with Dominic Toninato, 7th of the season, to give the Moose a 1-0 lead. 21 seconds later, pair of Jets prospects, Daniel Torgerson, the 2020 second rounder from Sweden. He buried the rebound, his second straight game with the goal. And I think it's his 5th goal overall of the season. And it was created, of course, by the big frame of Henry Nikkinen, the 2019 4th rounder, a player I always tell folks pay attention to. He's going to be a good one, I think. He creating some havoc, and then Torgerson put that one home. And then Leon Gavanke, about 5 minutes after that, I think, he let it rip from the point to give the Moose a 3-0 lead. Sound familiar, Jets fans? Because it happened earlier in the day within like a 10-minute span. That was Leon's 9th goal of the season, and it chased Anton Khudobin from the Stars net, the veteran goaltender. He was done after giving up 3 goals to the Moose. And then sure enough, much like that Jets game, the Stars started to whittle away at that lead, made it a 3-1 game. Similar goal to what we saw the other day in Ottawa. Quick one off the face-off, gave the Stars some life late in the first period. So now it was 3-1. Sure enough, they scored again in the second to make it 3-2, and would tie it up 3-3 late in the third period. So not dissimilar, but also, of course, different from the Jets game. This game, of course, would require overtime again, and Jeff Malott hard and heavy in the corners. And it's, it's funny. I had someone ask me if there's a new strategy in overtime, because it seems like the overload the puck rather than, stay man to man. And for the most part, I think it was just a mistake, because the Stars were man to man, and then all of a sudden they just swarm Malott, who fed the puck to Dominic Toninato, who was wide open in front of the net, and Toninato scored the OT winner, his second of the game, improved the Moose to 21-13, 2-1 on the season, and of course left all the fans home, sent all the fans home happy with their Jimmy Olney bobbleheads, and second Moose win of the weekend, and gives that team some momentum as they get ready for the final series of this 6-game stretch next weekend against the Toronto Marlies.
There you go. Good victories for the Moose this weekend as the team looks to get on a roll. And Dave M, of course, has it all covered.
Now, Drew,
on legalcurve.com. I was going to ask you, who was in attendance that people should have interest in, or at least should have their eyebrows perking up a little bit? Who was in attendance at this afternoon's Moose Stars game?
That's a good question. I was going to tweet it out, and I'm like, you know what? Forget it. None of these other guys show up at the games. Why should I give away this information for free?
That's right.
So if you want to read about it, you go to illegalcurve.com. The only place you can credit, illegalcurve.com, because we were the ones who reported it. So anywho, Jarmo Kekalainen, the GM of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and
good friend of Illegal Curve, been on the show a couple
been on
of
our
times
show
back in the day.
Yeah, and he was about 5 feet away from me, and one of his scouts or player development guys, and then you had 2 from the Bruins as well. So I'm not sure why the Bruins would be scouting the Stars and Jets. Maybe they're trying to get information on potential Stanley Cup opponents. I'm not entirely certain, but you wouldn't think that either of those organizations will be making a trade. But I mean, again, it's not entirely, sometimes we don't know how these teams are crisscrossing the globe in their scouting. But Columbus, again, is an interesting one because, of course, there's a number of players. Of course, a lot of the people in the chat who were reading about it and we were talking about it, they're joking about whether Patrik Laine was coming back to Winnipeg. I said, that one I'm not so sure about, but there are a number of players. Gustav Nyquist was a player that was mentioned by Frank Saravalli the other day.
Yeah.
And then Gavrikov, the defenseman, was another name I think wasn't he mentioned by?
He's been mentioned. I mean, he was mentioned last year. The Jets might have had interest in him. Yes, he's definitely a guy who's likely to be traded at the deadline or before the deadline. Sort of a very stay-at-home sort of style defenseman.
Yeah,
doesn't make a lot of money. Would be an upgrade on a lot of teams' back ends. But it's interesting. Columbus is in Calgary tomorrow. So you wonder if Kekalainen was traveling with the team. They were at home yesterday. So you wonder if he decided to stop in Winnipeg just to get a glimpse at the Moose, or maybe the Stars sort of, kill two birds with one stone, assuming that he was traveling to Calgary to be with the team when they face off tomorrow night in Calgary.
And worth noting that the Bruins are the only one, the Blue Jackets weren't here yesterday.
Right.
So there was no Blue Jacket, like Jarmo Kekalainen, and
he flew in specific for today's game.
They just came in for today's game, which is a little bit unusual in the sense that you tend to kill two birds with one stone, 2 games in case you see them both. Right. But anyways, like you said, maybe he's going to head off to Calgary next. Anywho, point is that, look, I mean, remember when we were seeing, what's his name? The Ottawa GM, Dorian, where we were seeing him like every 5 minutes in Winnipeg, along with Kelly McCrimmon. And it was like every day, every Moose game, I was like, oh man, like McCrimmon, Dorian, Cheveldayoff, they're all circling. But anywho, the point is that the Bruins had someone here yesterday, and but again, you never know why. It could just simply be scouting, giving an assessment as to how these two teams, their farm clubs are looking. But like I said, the Columbus one is interesting, and so that's why I made note of it, and that's why it's included in the game recap of today's Moose and Stars game. So if you're interested, go read the whole recap, I would hope, to find out what's going on with the latest with the Jets prospects. But you can read about that nugget, even though I've just given it to you for free right now.
There you go. Dave M with the Minuk Moose Minute after the Moose victorious earlier this afternoon, sweeping the weekend series against the Texas Stars, just like the Jets swept their 2 games against the Senators and the Philadelphia Flyers this weekend. Tough Duck, hardest hitting comment. You never know who I'm going to decide to give it to, and I would thought this was a pretty good comment. It's not necessarily the most insightful one, but I appreciate Dieter Stiedinger, and I apologize, Dieter, if I'm mispronouncing your name here, but you're right. David Riddick, the numbers aren't going to look great. They're nothing that's going to jump out at you. It's not the one goal he gave up against the Penguins, but he had to make some key saves at some key times throughout the course of this game. And I thought that it's good on you for pointing that out and making that comment. And as a result, you're going to be awarded a Tough Duck toque, courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck. You can send me an email, drew@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs on the Twitter machine @ICDrew. Send us your mailing address. Our friends at Tough Duck will send you out a toque for your comment and your continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show and presumably the Illegal Curve hockey show on Saturday mornings.
Frosty makes a good point, Drew. You're going to need that toque by Friday.
Is this the polar vortex or something we're supposed to be getting?
I didn't know about this, but Dawn at Security told me that it's going to get cold on Saturday. So there you go.
Yeah, I saw something on somewhere on the internet that some sort of polar vortex is coming our way, and it's going to make.
Aren't we always in a polar vortex?
Well, no, we haven't been this year. No, I would say this has been a very delightful.
I was trying to be sarcastic, but okay.
Oh, that wasn't.
But much like my blue screen of death tweet yesterday, which
sarcasm goes over to
completely got misconstrued by everyone.
Yeah,
not everyone, but a lot of people, and it was hilarious how people were trying to dunk on the Jets as if it was I had some of the Jet Moose guys telling me that people were trying to dunk on the Jets because, just for those who don't know, the Moose.
You told the story on last night's postgame show.
I know, but Drew, I mean, there's a few more people here today, so maybe not everybody knows. Anyways, the point is that, but Drew, is also because I actually had to defend it because I was like, how stupid are people? But regardless, I felt like I needed to qualify, and so I did. But it was funny how people were still trying to dunk on the Jets, and I was just like, okay, sure, have fun with that.
Illegal Curve merchandise contest. In order to enter the merchandise contest, you go on the YouTube channel. You click the down arrow. You'll see the show description. There's a link to the contest page. Click that link. You'll see a whole bunch of things you can do in order to gain entries and earn more ballots into the merchandise contest. One of those things that you can do, in case you can't find it on in case you can't find it on YouTube, it's also on our website, illegalcurve.com. So one of the things that you can do to earn extra entries is enter in the unique code word. That's a unique code word that you can only find here by watching the Illegal Curve post-game show, or finding it, of course, on the podcast edition of the show. Were you going to say something? Is that why you were?
I was going to say something, because if I wasn't sure if you were going to ask me if anybody guessed it or not.
Yes.
Because... And now so the only clue I would give people, because everyone's like, I gave 2 clues. Yeah. I said one is it's always tied into the city that the
Jets are playing
the team
in,
that the Jets are playing. So that's number 1. And then number 2, the clue I gave was, the secondary clue was, I said it's something we've spoken about, in fact, quite recently. Mm-hmm. So if that, maybe that should give you some sort of indication. And even though Spencer Sutton said he guessed it, but I don't think he did. Only one person, Joe from Winnipeg, was able to read it, reach into my mind and figured out what that code word was. So that just goes to show you that makes me, that warms my heart, because it means that Joe listens. Nothing makes me feel better to know that people are listening.
There you go. So the unique
I wish it was Clubber Lang, though. It wasn't Clubber Lang or Philly cheesesteak.
But it's close to Philly cheesesteak. In fact, it's Philly Dan.
Philly Dan.
Now, explain who Philly Dan is, Dave.
Well, actually, I could explain by picture.
Oh, good. I'm glad you have visual. We got a visual element to today's show as well, in addition to the constant visual element that is this show being on YouTube.
Yes. Well, sorry. Hold on 1 second. Uno momento, por favor.
You don't have it handy? Come on. What kind of
amateur hour is this? I did before, but then somehow I screwed it up. I don't know.
You screwed it up when you had to get the picture of the ball hitting me in the face, and that guy.
Yes.
That guy's not Philly Dan, for the record. We don't know that guy's name.
No, although we did remember we ran into him. Did we run into him after? Or we ran into somebody else who was like, no, someone else who recognized you as the guy who got hit in the face, which was the funniest part. Remember, the guy's like, weren't you that guy? And then he took a picture with you. Don't you remember, like, after we were leaving the stadium?
I think I was concussed. I don't fully remember a lot from that evening.
Yeah.
I did get sort of trampled by people, so that and get a ball hit in the face. So things were a little blurry until the next morning.
Who doesn't like a good trampling? Okay, well, hold on. So just so in case anybody's wondering, there's Philly Dan. And by the way,
really can't see anything there. It's not a good photo.
No, you can. Watch 1 second. Philly Dan with a young Ezzy and a young Drew. Okay, so in case anybody's wondering, Philly Dan is a character that Ezzy and I, when we were in Vegas randomly with another buddy of mine, because Ezzy and I, even though we travel well together, had never gone to Vegas before. Yeah. But my buddy and I were going to Vegas, and somehow Ez kind of joined the show, and I don't remember how he got involved, but anyways.
It was the beginning of a beautiful romance between you and Ginsburg. He hasn't left you alone since.
Anyways, point is that we were at the Heart Bar in Planet Hollywood, and we Ezzy, because he's the most affable person in the history of the world, met this guy, and he Philly Dan is huge into hockey, loves hockey, and he's buddies with
Riley Cote.
Riley Cote, yes. I was going to say, I blanked for a second, but he's buddies with Riley Cote.
I can't believe I pulled that out of my ass.
Who's an assistant coach with the Philadelphia Phantoms,
yes,
or at least he was. I think he still is, but he was, and he's a buddy of Dan's. So we started chatting with Philly Dan, and somehow we kept bumping into him periodically. My other friend and I would bump into him in Vegas from time to time. And of course, in 2014, bringing it all back, when we were at the draft, we went to the baseball game with Philly Dan. We hung out with Philly Dan. Ezzy and him disappeared into an Uber. First time I'd ever heard about Uber was in 2014, when Ezzy and Philly Dan got into some Escalade and just drove off, leaving the rest of us at the ballpark. But anyways, that's the adventures of Philly Dan, who we still hear from time to time. Good dude, and he is your unique code word.
There you go. So enter the word Philly Dan, all one word, all caps. PHILLYDAN. I hope I didn't need to spell Dan for you good folks, but I did nonetheless. Philly Dan is your unique code word for the Illegal Curve contest. Enter that in, get extra ballots, get all your extra entries, because we are approaching the end of the month. It'll happen the night of the St. Louis Blues game. That's January 31st. We're going to draw a name for 2 tickets to an NHL game of your choosing. So be sure to get your entries in ahead of time in order to be eligible to win those tickets. And of course, all the great merchandise, the Jets merchandise that we give away here on the Illegal Curve post-game show, which of course takes us to the winner of tonight's Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Let's wish a hearty congratulations to Jeff Bowes. Jeff Bowes is the winner of the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Dave M.
Yeah, Jeff's Lisa's brother, of course. And okay, we are. Whoa, folks, I think we know what this means. This is now officially the Dave Minuk experience. I would love to say I kicked Drew out, but I didn't do anything. And yet somehow, okay, Drew, let yourself back in. I won't do it.
Thank you.
But wow, all of a sudden, the Dave Minuk
hit a button.
That was hey, he did it again. This is amazing. All right, folks. Sorry. I didn't, Jeff, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh, Drew's back. Damn it. I don't know how he keeps coming back. Hey, let yourself in, Drew.
I keep,
stop hitting the button. You keep hitting the same button.
There's a button on the side of my mouse for some reason that I don't know what this button does. I guess it immediately closes the window that's on your screen.
Yeah, try it again. Let's see if it works. Yes. He fell for it, folks. Anywho, congratulations, Jeff. You are the winner of the Illegal Curve merch contest. We'll get you some authentic Jets gear. Oh, man, Drew's back. Damn it.
The button works. It's a completely useless button, except for the fact that
I call it the greatest button in the history of the world, Drew.
If you had control of the button, then yes, I would see that it would be. But this button, I've never seen it before. I have no idea what it does, but apparently it's really an annoying button.
Well, I think it's the greatest button that was ever created, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. Rob doesn't want you to press that button anymore.
Some
people
Rob.
thought
That's
it was funny. Yeah. So anywho. So congratulations to Jeff on the win. And like I said, I'll get in touch with you and we'll get you some merch. And remember, for the record, folks, if I've sent you an email and even if you've responded, send me a message on Twitter in either to my IC Dave or to the Illegal Curve account or Instagram. I don't really care how you reach out, but if you've sent me an email and I haven't responded, it means I probably haven't received it. So please do so I can get you your merch and we can coordinate that.
There you go. Very reasonable request from Mr. Dave Minuk in order to get that quality merchandise into your hands ahead.
It won't be this, though.
It won't be the moose hat. The moose hat, that's Dave M's to keep and for himself. And
no, I probably actually will end up giving it away.
Oh, okay. Dave M's going to give away the hat.
I'll give it away.
No,
I'll keep the bobblehead because I tend to keep the bobbleheads, but I'll give away the hat.
Okay, there you go. You can do as you please. You are an independent man, so there you go. Something for you to work on over the next couple of weeks or whatever. Anyways, congratulations to everybody. Big winners here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. We'll do the next post-game show on Tuesday night, 9:45 p.m. back here. The Jets and the Predators. The Jets look to end the 5-game road trip with a winning record. They're 2-2 so far, sweeping the 2 games this weekend, defeating the Senators and defeating the Philadelphia Flyers tonight by a 5-3
we just watched the game
margin. I know I forgot who they beat, but they beat the Flyers 5-3. Want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Frosty Winnipeg, hope you're ready. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Kevin Farley at Rumors, starting Tuesday night. A number of the shows are already sold out, so get your tickets now in order to see Kevin Farley starting on Tuesday night. Our friend Dr. Les Rikus and the team at Linden Market Dental Center. Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Betway, our good friends at Betway. Tough Duck, they give away toques left, right, and center. We thank them all the time. Our friends at Boston Pizza. Seagram's, here's some Fireball. Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. It's been an exhilarating weekend. It's been a bit of an exhausting weekend. 3 shows this weekend, but we do it all for you, and we thank you all for joining us for them. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave us some feedback on iTunes, leave us some feedback on Spotify, leave us some feedback wherever you can find Illegal Curve, because we always want to hear from you, and we want you to tell your friends, tell your family the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game. And again, on Saturday mornings is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. For Dave Minuk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show. We'll see everybody on Tuesday night. Thanks for joining us. Have a great couple days, everybody.